want to make it absolutely clear that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have enough strategies, enough laws on ground to address our security challenges. With regards to terrorism, there are two strategies and one law that I would refer to. The number one is the National Counterterrorism Strategy that was published in 2016, that, if I'm right, is currently being reviewed. Now, that strategy provides the framework for countering terrorism, just like the name suggests. And when it was launched in 2016, I think the philosophy behind it was that force will be the principal means to address terrorism. But then immediately after, there was a realization that there were underlying factors that allow terrorism to breed. So in 2017, another document called PCVE, the Policy Document on Countering Violent Extremism, was published. Now, the idea of that document was that soft power, things like socio-economic conditions, radicalization, name them, will now be introduced. And it has various elements under it. The third one is the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, amended in 2022, which defined terrorism, defined acts and activities that contribute to terrorism, and more importantly, the punishment for anyone who engages in them. And also, very importantly, put up what was called a sanctions committee, which is chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation, with membership from different security organizations, if I'm right, about 14 of them. Now, the first strategy I mentioned, which is the National Counterterrorism Strategy, went ahead to create a coordinator counter-terrorism. And so today you have within the Office of the National Security Advisor, that office, a beautiful office with well-manned personnel from different organizations within the country. So my point is, we don't need anything new. We already have all that is required. Now, all of these three documents are revolving around 5 things, and I'll quickly mention them. Number one, they aim to forestall terrorism. Anything that would be terroristic, they have provisions within them to forestall it from happening. 2016, we're in 2024, and we have a threat, just like Dr. Mutala has mentioned, that is not only imminent, that if we don't address, a new theater of war will be created, just like we have in the northeast. The second element within these three laws is to secure us. Because of time, I'm trying to reduce my words. Number three is to identify. In other words, anywhere anything terroristic emerges, those three laws were supposed to identify it. Then number 4 is to prevent. In other words, before any terroristic thing happens, take measures to prevent it. And then the last one is the implement component. So if you look at these 5 provisions within those 2 strategies and 1 law, why is it that in 2024, remember these things were introduced in 2016, in 2024 we now have this eminent threat? And I'll tell you the reason. And I think General Temlong did mention it. Accountability is largely missing within our security space. We need to introduce accountability. When all of these 3 elements these 3 quote-unquote strategies and the law were put forward, I don't think there was a strong monitoring and evaluation component within them that would have allowed us to periodically ask ourselves, where are we doing well? Are there gaps? If there are gaps, how do we correct it? If you allow me to do a poll, we're 4 here. How many of us have seen these 3 documents that I've mentioned? You are a journalist. If you pick the NAC test, National Counterterrorism Strategy, and the PCVE, the media is mentioned there. You are supposed to be the custodians of that document. The media are supposed to be the ones that would, through strategic communication, put it forward to Nigerians so that Nigerians can embrace it. The idea of the strategies and the law is that the market woman in Garki Market, in Silami, in Tangaza, if she sees a terroristic action, she should be able to call someone in security to say, I have seen something. But 10 years down the road, 8 years down the road rather, we haven't done that. So monitoring and evaluation is missing. The second reason why we're where we are.
Sorry to point you out. It was said in that report that in 2016, they noticed
In fact, more than that, I'm being careful. I'm being careful because
the profiling did not.
I'm in a media station. The police, and AIG would confirm this. The police came out to say that the Lakurawas are benign. They are not malignant. A report from Sokoto State Police Command did say that. And of course, this was in 2017, 2018, thereabout. So, point I'm trying to make, the second point, we focused on the Northeast. And for obvious reasons, Jamaat al-Islam al-Dawati wal-Jihad was operational in the Northeast. Islamic State in West Africa province was operational. So the entire focus of these two strategies and the law moved kind of to the Northeast. If we had done our strategic security analysis, putting into consideration the feed from our intelligence agencies, the NIA, the DIA, the DSS, we would have known that the hotbed for terrorism was the Sahel. And if you look at the Sahel and the fact that at least 7 states, northern states in Nigeria are within the Sahel, then we would have known it was just a matter of time before this group start incursion into Nigeria, which means the same strategies that we are implementing in the Northeast would have implemented in the Northwest. First, like remember the 5 elements I mentioned: forestall, secure, identify, prevent, and implement. If we had done that in the North, we would have known when the Lakurawas were becoming radicalized. I differ a little bit with Dr. Murtala. Initially, if we go with the statement of the police, and I have no choice but to support that statement by the police, that they were not radicalized at the initial stages. Again, it is there. A simple Google search will produce that statement by the Sokoto State Police Command telling you that that group was not radicalized initially. I have no choice but to believe that statement. Today, they are radicalized.
It's because he's on ground. Yeah, that's why he says
beyond that, he's a historian. I'm an intelligence analyst. So the meaning of radicalization may differ. So, but let's not go into that argument. Let's rely with what.
But who is supposed to implement? When you talk about security
the
strategies,
Office of the National Security
and why
Advisor.
does it seem that these things are not implemented?
The Office of the National Security Advisor, like I told you, under NAC test, you have a coordinator, counter-terrorism. Today, you have a substantive general who is heading that office. The idea is to galvanize us as Nigerians. When they say security is really by the people, the idea is bring everybody on board. That's why he's a coordinator. He's new in that office, so I'm not kind of putting the responsibility on him.
It's not the individual, it's the office.
It's the office, exactly. And the continuity that was envisaged when the entire NAC test was created, 2016. But the good thing is that it's due for review. I do hope that an M&E strategy will be implemented where, in fact, a simple SWOT analysis. What did we do well with the previous one? What didn't do well? How do we make sure that the average Nigerian... In fact, what even shocked me, I'm being careful, I'm on NTA, what shocked me is our governors. You will be surprised that if you invite governors, not many of them even know of the existence of this document that I've mentioned.